Hello, everybody. If you want to read all the story's content in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you. Short story 697, The Shadows in Flat 6. Intermediate. Sarah had only just moved into Flat 6 of the old building. The rent was cheap and the landlord said the place was full of character. She liked the tall windows and the quiet street. It felt like a good new start. On her first night, she heard footsteps above her. They were slow, heavy steps, walking from one side of the ceiling to the other. Sarah checked her contract. There was no flat upstairs. She tried to ignore the sound, telling herself it was just the pipes. Eventually, she fell asleep. The next morning, she knocked on her neighbour's door to ask if anyone lived above her. An elderly woman opened the door. Her eyes were tired, and she looked nervous. "There is no upstairs," the woman whispered. "No one lives above you. That part of the building is closed." That night, the footsteps returned, louder and faster. Sarah hid under the blanket, trembling. She wanted to leave, but she had no money to move again. "It's all in my head," she told herself, taking deep breaths. On the third night, she woke to the sound of scratching at her bedroom door. She sat up, frozen. Something dragged along the floor, slowly moving closer. The door handle shook. She tried to scream, but fear stopped her voice. Suddenly the noise stopped. Silence filled the room. Sarah waited, tears on her cheeks. After a few minutes, she forced herself to get out of bed and open the door. Nothing was there. The hallway was empty. In the morning, she went back to the elderly woman. "You heard it, didn't you?" the woman asked. She closed the door behind Sarah and spoke quietly. "The shadows, they move when the sun goes down. Anyone who lives in flat 6 hears them. No one stays long." Sarah felt cold. "Has anyone been hurt?" The woman looked away. "We don't talk about that." Sarah tried to leave that evening, but when she packed her suitcase, the shadows in the corner began to move. They stretched up the walls like dark hands reaching for her. The footsteps thundered from above, shaking the ceiling. She ran to the door and pulled the handle. Locked. She hadn't locked it. She tried again. It wouldn't open. The lights flickered. The shadows crept closer. The voice whispered her name, long and soft. "Sarah!" She fell to the floor shaking. The darkness covered her like a blanket. She screamed, but the sound disappeared into the black. The next morning, the elderly neighbour knocked on the door of flat 6. No answer. She sighed, sadly, and walked away. A new sign went up outside the building. Flat 6 for rent. Vocabulary notes. Trembling, meaning shaking because of fear, cold, or nervousness. Example, Sarah hid under her blanket, trembling. Similar words, shaking, shivering, quivering. Extra example, he was trembling when he heard the strange sound behind him. Whispered, meaning spoke very quietly, often so others cannot hear. Example, "There is no upstairs," the woman whispered. Similar words, murmur, speak softly, hiss. Extra example, she whispered a secret to her friend. Frozen, meaning unable to move because of fear or shock. Not about ice, a figurative meaning. Example, she sat up, frozen. Similar words, paralyzed with fear. Rooted to the spot, motionless. Extra example, he was frozen when he saw the dark figure in the doorway. Dragged, meaning pulled something along the ground with effort. Example, something dragged along the floor. Similar words: pull, haul, scrape. Extra example: they dragged the heavy box across the room. Whisper, the voice calling her name. Meaning, a soft, quiet voice that is difficult to hear. Example, a voice whispered her name. Similar words: murmur, soft voice, hush. Extra example, she heard a whisper behind her, but no one was there. Story written by ChatGPT. Image created by ChatGPT. To read all the story's content in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you. CC Music, Drifting at 432 Hz, Unicorn Heads.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're taking a close look at just one short piece, The Shadows in Flat 6.
Right.
And our goal really is to sort of dissect it, see how the specific words, the structure, now how it all builds this sense of dread so quickly. We're looking for those aha moments in storytelling.
It's a great example. Really efficient. I mean, the setup is classic horror, isn't it?
Right.
Sarah moves into flat 6. The rent's cheap. It's described as full of character, tall windows.
Ah, the tall windows.
Oh.
Nice, but maybe a bit exposed.
Exactly. Loads of space for shadows, which kind of hints at the title subtly.
Okay, so that's the initial setup, but things get weird fast.
Yeah.
Night 1, right? She hears footsteps.
Yep, slow, heavy steps from upstairs.
But the thing is, her contract, it says there is no upstairs flat, so she tries to brush it off.
Yeah, she tells herself it's just the pipes, the usual denial.
But that denial doesn't last long. The neighbor.
Oh, the neighbor. Yeah. Sarah asks this elderly woman about it, and she just flat out says, there is no upstairs.
Just like that.
Pretty much. Adds, that part of the building is closed. And boom, right there, it's not just noisy plumbing anymore. It's something else. Something hidden about the building itself.
It shifts things very quickly.
Yeah.
And the story uses this, like, acceleration of fear. Night 1 is just those slow steps, kind of creepy, but distant.
But night 2, those same steps are back, only now they're louder and faster. The text even says Sarah is trembling. Her fear is ramping up just as fast as the sounds are.
And then night 3. Wow, that's where it really pivots, doesn't it? It's not just hearing things anymore.
Exactly. It becomes physical, tactile. She hears scratching at her bedroom door. Yeah. And then something being dragged along the floor, and the door handle, it starts shaking violently. She's just frozen.
That word dragged, let's pause on that for a second. It's not just scraped or slid.
No. Drag feels heavy, like something is putting in a huge effort right outside her door. It really amps up the feeling of threat, makes it feel powerful,
Definitely. So she runs back to the neighbor, desperate, presumably.
Right. And the neighbor finally gives her, well, part of the story, says the shadows. They move when the sun goes down.
The shadows.
And then anyone who lives in flat 6 hears them. No one stays long. That line, no one stays long.
Chilling. And then the neighbor refuses to say if anyone's been hurt.
Just says, we don't talk about that, which is almost worse, isn't it? That silence, that refusal, it totally isolates Sarah. The damage is done.
So the climax feels like a failed escape attempt. She tries to pack up and leave.
Yeah, she tries. But as she's packing, the story says the shadows in the corner start to move, like dark hands reaching for her.
Oh, wow.
And the sounds come back, but it's not just footsteps now. They thundered from above. The whole ceiling is shaking. It's a full-on assault.
And the very final moments, linguistically, they seem designed just to paralyze her.
Absolutely. The door handle locks itself. The lights flicker. And then a voice whispers her name. Drawn out, like Sarah.
Knows her name.
Which makes it personal, not random. The story uses words like frozen, trembling. It's showing the threat has completely taken away her ability to act, to even run.
So it all wraps up. How? The ending is pretty stark.
It really is. Just the neighbor knocking on flat 6 the next day, no answer. She just sadly walks away.
And then
immediately a new sign goes up. Flat 6 for rent.
Wow. Just like that, after everything.
Exactly. And remember what the neighbor said. No one stays long. That sign going up so fast, it feels almost like the building itself or whoever manages it is just indifferent, ready for the next victim.
So it leaves you thinking, doesn't it? That immediate realistic.
Yeah.
What does that pattern suggest about the building? The cycle of fear, disappearance, and then just business as usual.
It implies Sarah wasn't the first, and she certainly won't be the last. It's an ongoing predatory cycle. Makes you think twice about those character flats with cheap rent, right?